Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be talking about how you guys can start your own tech YouTube channel in 2021. And I know I haven't been doing this for too long, but I want to give my advice for anybody looking to get started on YouTube, or more specifically, if you want to get started in the tech YouTube niche. So before getting started with anything, the first thing you should think about is what type of videos you actually want to make. And there's a bunch of different niches on YouTube, especially in the tech industry. Some people just make videos on mechanical keyboards, headphones, or even smartphones. And if you're really interested in just one of these things, like a very specific niche, you can start making videos just on those things so that your viewers are eventually going to know that you're the person to go to for that type of content. Or if you're just like me and you just want to review just general tech products since you're not too interested in one specific niche, you can just do that too. And this way you're not really constrained to any one specific niche or product category, and you can just make videos on whatever you like. If you end up making product reviews for whatever products that you actually have, you'll find out that some of your videos just do really well, and you can just capitalize on that since you know that your viewers like those types of videos, and you can continue making those. And by covering whatever tech products that you actually own and just the general tech industry, you'll get a lot more products sent over to you from companies just to review, and also you won't get as bored if you just focus in on one specific category. So now we can talk about gear, which is probably one of my favorite things to talk about. But if you're just getting started on YouTube or a tech YouTube channel, what you want to do is just start out with your phone. Or if you're already a photographer or you just have a camera laying around, use that instead. But if you want to save some money and spend that money for products to actually review, just keep with your phone and just use that instead. Especially if you have a newer iPhone like the iPhone 12 or iPhone 12 Pro or even 12 Pro Max, you could get some really good A-roll and B-roll shots. And there's actually one channel that I'm really surprised is actually completely filmed on an iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is from SpawnPoint. His YouTube videos honestly look really nice, and they actually look comparable to an actual 4K camera. So if you're discouraged to actually start with your phone, look at his videos, then you'll have a little bit more motivation to use your own iPhone. The stabilization is amazing for B-roll shots, and honestly just looks really good in 4K for some A-roll shots. And if you do have a little budget, the first thing I would recommend that you guys get is a proper microphone. The microphone that I'm using right now is the Boya MM1 microphone, which I have attached to my Sony a6400, but honestly it's like a $30 microphone and it sounds a lot better than just the camera. And for your voiceovers, you could use the same Boya MM1 microphone if you're using that with your phone, or for your camera, you could use that for your voiceovers, or instead you could get something from FineFine. And there's a bunch of microphone companies out there, so feel free to kind of look around, but I would suggest that you go with something from FineFine because they have really solid microphones for like $30 to $50. And if your budget starts to grow for YouTube, the next thing I would recommend for you to buy would be a good camera, or like a mirrorless camera like the Sony a6000 line of cameras. But if you are a photographer and you want a full frame camera, I'll recommend looking into the Sony a7 III because it is a really good hybrid camera for both photo and video. For me right now, YouTube is my primary focus, so I've just been fine with the Sony a6400, but if you do want to kind of expand into other projects or clients working with photography and videography, that would be the best camera to pick up. And as for lighting, you could definitely just use some natural light for your videos, or if you want, you could just pick up a nice softbox for like $40 off of Amazon like I have here. And the great thing about picking up some external lighting is that during the day, the light's actually going to keep changing because of the sun, but if you have some blackout curtains or your curtains are closed and it's nighttime, then you can just use some external lighting and the light's going to stay consistent throughout your video. So next, talking about what you can actually review for your videos, the first thing I would start off with is whatever products that you actually have in your house, or you could actually ask some family or friends if they have any products that you want to review. And by reviewing whatever products that you actually have, you'll find that most of your videos get like 100-ish views on YouTube, but some will actually do really well, and they'll probably do over 1K views. And honestly, you don't know which types of videos are going to go above 1,000 views. And for example, I made a review video on this chair right here that I'm sitting in right now, and right now it has around 12,000 views, and if you really think about it, I literally just made a video reviewing a chair, which isn't really that interesting, and I don't really know who would click on it since it's not too big of a thing. But since a lot of people are interested in this specific chair, which I didn't even know about before, a lot of people ended up clicking on it since there's not too many YouTube videos reviewing this chair right here. So overall, just review whatever products that you have in your house, and even if it kind of seems stupid to review, like reviewing a chair, just do it anyways, because the worst thing that could happen is that you end up with like 100 views, which is honestly completely fine. You probably gain like 1 or 2 subscribers out of that. But the best thing that could happen, or the better case scenario here, is that you end up with like 10,000, 20,000, or even like 100,000 views on a random video, and you end up blowing up because of a random video that you made. And if you didn't make that video, you wouldn't be in that place. So overall, just make the video because you really don't know how well it could perform. And if you're more interested in the analytical part and finding which videos will actually perform really well, you could have this vidIQ extension that actually tells you, there's like a little meter and it tells you how good a video title is, how relevant it is. And with a lot of products that come out like an iPhone, there's going to be so much volume for it that it doesn't really even make sense for you to even review. But honestly, just do it anyways if you have the product itself. And if you actually want to go out and buy something just to review, then definitely use this extension, the vidIQ extension, to see if the video is actually relevant right now and if it's worth your money and your time to go out and actually buy it just to review. So now that you have your product that you actually want to review, the next phase is the scripting and planning phase. So you can either script your video word for what you're going to say, or you can just generally plan it out with some bullet points. And honestly, if you're just starting out, I really recommend just scripting out everything word for word so that you know that everything you're saying is actually valuable and correct. And something really helpful about actually scripting out your videos word for word with like correct grammar and everything is that you could actually just take the entire script, copy and paste it over to Medium or another blog and just post it there, and you could actually end up making money with just that. And with your Medium article or your blog post, you can actually just take the video link and put it at the bottom so that you actually end up getting more traction, and anybody who sees the blog post or the article is just going to go from there to the video. And for me personally, I've actually been scripting all my videos until this point, and from now on I actually just want to start putting bullet points instead of saying everything word for word, because I end up sounding a lot more like a robot from just trying to read off of a script, and that's really not too interesting for the viewer. Like right now, if you're watching, I feel a lot more free, or at least on my end, I feel a lot more free just talking to you guys straight from me to the camera rather than saying just like random words that you could just read instead. And now talking about the filming aspect of your videos, if you do have a camera, I recommend you get a lens with a 1.4 or a 1.8 aperture so that if there is clutter in the background, you can kind of make any space look like you're set. Like right now, if I did have any type of clutter back there, it would be a little bit hard to see or focus on if you did have a lens with like f4.0 or if you're filming at like f5 or something like that, versus right now I'm filming at f1.4, so you're not going to see too much of the background in focus, and it's going to be primarily just me in focus. And if you want to make your shot look a little bit more interesting and you don't have a f1.4 or 1.8 lens, or you're just filming with your smartphone, something that I recommend so that your shot looks a little bit more interesting is that you sit with the corner of the wall behind you rather than having the wall perpendicular to where you are. And even if you are shooting perpendicular to your wall, it's not going to look too bad, but just try to make sure that your background looks a little bit nicer. Like right here, I do have just these two frames and my computer on right here with some a little pop of color in the background. Feel free to make your background whatever you want, or if you just want some type of plain background, that's completely fine too, and it's pretty much just your channel and your taste, so you could do whatever you want. But overall, if you do have the budget, I would recommend an f1.4 lens like the one I'm using right now, which is a Sigma 16mm 1.4, and you can honestly just sit wherever you want and just have a shallow depth of field, and it's pretty much just gonna look nice all the time. And once you're in the editing phase of making your video, which should be pretty self-explanatory, but if it's not, then there's a bunch of Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro tutorials online. But the one piece of advice, or the one tip that I have for you guys, is to use some type of non-copyright lo-fi music to put in the background of your video. And this could help to create a certain vibe in your video, which could be really nice for your viewer, and if they really enjoy it, they'll probably just end up subscribing just from the vibe of it. But the key thing here is to make sure that the actual volume of the track is at a minimum, because people really don't like it when the volume of the music is actually too loud and they can't really hear you speak. And it's also completely fine if you don't have any music in your video, because it helps the viewer just focus on your voice and just what you're saying. And finally, once your video is fully exported and you have everything set together with all the music and everything else, the only thing that you have left is the title, the thumbnail, and the tags. So those things, I would just recommend that you look up a video on vidIQ, because once you have the vidIQ extension, you'll pretty much have the ability to get a really good title going. And for the thumbnail, that's pretty much up to you. And for my thumbnails, I just like to keep them clean and minimal so that it's kind of easy on the eyes for the viewer. But for you, you could just make your thumbnails whatever you like, and just try to make it consistent throughout all your videos so that you just have a brand image and everything kind of has a cohesive look to it. And that's pretty much it for how to start a tech YouTube channel in 2021. And if you guys did find this video helpful or you enjoyed it, be sure to go down below and hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.